Hello and welcome to the jungle garden in Denmark. Finally, I'm ready to make a new video. We have actually used most of the summer to repair all the winter damages, and we have concluded that either we're not going to have a garden like this with the winters we get nowadays, or we're going to invent some more effective winter protection, and that's what we are busy doing at the moment, but more about that in another video. This is in the damp fern corner with my biggest tree fern, which is doing very well. We managed to protect that well enough last winter, and the bamboos are doing good as well. Even though there were rumors about the black bamboo was going to flower, it hasn't done it, not yet anyway. And here in the foreground there is a bamboo called Blue, and it hasn't been blue at all, but now finally it's starting to get some new stems that, well, they're purple, but they might turn to blue later on. Unfortunately, I don't walk so well anymore, which does that everything takes 4 times as long as it used to. Very frustrating, and that's why I've been behind with everything. So you have to close your eyes for the weeds here and there. I think I've got the national collection of dandelions that just pop up everywhere. I think my palm trees are growing slow, but they are growing, especially those down here. Apparently they like it very much in this more sheltered corner of the garden. And then we've got the big Gunnera manicata that has changed name to Gunnera cryptica. It's doing okay. I would wish that it was a bit bigger, but I must admit I haven't fertilized it so much this year, so that is probably the reason why it isn't taller than it is. And here is the Eucalyptus grove. We lost all 3 eucalyptus trees that we bought last year, so we've bought some new ones, or at least 2 of the 3 trees, because the last one was not available, so we're still waiting for that. And again, we have to winter protect them a lot better since our winters have changed. This is Phormium Variegata, and that is the one I've had the best luck with. I've lost the others I've tried in our garden. I have tried some new ones this year, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens during the winter. But I've learned my lesson. Even they are going to be protected from now on. All our banana palms or plants froze down to the root this year. So they have had to start from scratch, and that's why they're not so big yet. We have chosen to plant bananas different places in the garden. We used to have 4 big clumps, but now there are banana plants here and there. And we are, as mentioned earlier, working out some new winter protection, because we would like to keep the height of the pseudostem so that they don't have to start all over again. And this is something new. This is one of my Mellianthus major that I've grown from seed. I thought I would have plenty, because I bought 50 seeds and I only got 2 plants. So I'm probably not very good at growing things from seed. I have bought these plants before, and they always die in the winter, so this year we'll just have to see if our new winter protection will get it through the winter. Right next to it there is a Trachycarpus fortunii, and it actually had spear pull after the winter. You can see it's way behind the others, but it has put out a new center shoot, or a new spear I suppose you call it. So I don't think it has died, but we'll just have to wait to see. And here in the foreground we've got Eucomis, which comes back every year no matter how cold it is. And this is the new mountain. I have put in a Camerops humilis. I already had it in a pot, and I just thought it, after 10 years in a pot, it deserved to be planted out in the ground. So we'll just have to see how it does. It'll be winter protected, even though it should be fairly hardy. And as a trial, I have put a Dacelerian up here on top. It will be winter protected, of course, as well. So hopefully it will survive. And then I've put in some Yucca palms because I know they can survive in our garden. We've got the big ones up near the terrace, so they should be doing okay. And then the rest of the plants are really ordinary plants for a rock garden, so they should be okay. And then down here where the brown pole is standing, I'm going to plant another palm tree, but they're not available at the moment, so I'll just have to wait. This is the other side of the path, and here is our Loquat tree. It used to be on the other side of the path, but it wasn't doing very well, so we've moved it over here, and hopefully it'll like that spot better. And then we've got the Cautleya in bloom here in the background, and behind there is the big Hedychium ginger, Helen Dillon. It has white flowers, it's not in bloom yet. And then tucked in behind it we've got 2 new Cautelyas, because we lost 4 out of 5 Cautelyas this winter, and they've been overtaken by that creeper, which I can't remember what it's called in English. I have to do something about that. And here, tucked in behind the Cautleya, is a Tetrapanax, Steroidal Giant. All our Tetrapanaxes froze back to the root this year, but they've come back, all of them. And we've got the big Paulownia in the background. And all of this is what it has grown since March, where I copied it. So it is, as always, doing very well. It has been thrashed by the wind because we've had some huge storms. I mean, in the summertime, what is going on? But I suppose that's just the way it is now. And we have decided to put banana plants different places in the garden. So here is one of them. Luckily we had so many banana pops from last year, because we've lost so many plants this winter, so we had lots of holes in the plants that we could fill up with bananas and that sort of thing. So when you take a look back, I think it is beginning to look a bit like a jungle. Nice. And this is the path leading over the stream, and it too is beginning to look like a jungle. As you can see, I've got plenty of Canna musafolia rubrum, the dark one to the right of the path and to the left. I started out with 2 plants, and they multiplied into 4, and last year I had 12 out of those two plants from the beginning. I've given a few away to friends, but I had 10 plants to plant out here in the summer, and I thank God for that, because we've had so many bare and empty spots after this winter, but they're filling out nicely. And here next to the path we've got the original Tetrapanax, Steroidal Giant. It's the mother plant of all the other plants, and even though it froze back to the ground, it's come back nicely with huge leaves as always. Right next to it I've planted a lot of these banana pops I had, and more of the Canna musafolia. So it is looking very nice and lush, I think. And when you look at the start of the stream for the pond, it is beginning to look as lush as we wanted, because we want it to look as that you can't see where the water comes from, and I think that is we're getting there. And here in the background you can see there's another Tetrapanax that has shown up all by itself, and as always I haven't got the heart to dig it up when it's this big, so okay, it can stay. If you look down the path, it is really beginning to look like a jungle. You can hardly get through anymore, but I suppose that's what we want. And I think you get the same feeling when you look back the way you've just come. It looks very nice and lush. And when you look at it, I have tried to build this up like a forest. You've got tall trees, and the only thing that's tall at the moment is the Paulownia. I'm looking forward to the palm trees are going to be taller. You've got the tall trees, and then you have the second layer, the medium layer of shrubs, and then the ground cover. And it is, I mean, when the palm trees get big, we've got the top layer and the middle layer, but or the ground cover. But it's, I think I have to get some bushes, some more fetches or something like that, that can create that middle layer. At the moment, I mean, some of my ground cover, some of my hostas are bigger than the palm trees. But hopefully that will change in the future. But it is coming along nicely, I think, especially if we can crack the code of winter protection. That'll help a lot. And right here next to the path is one of my two Amicia zygomeris. There's another one on the other side of the path, as you can see here. And these two are the ones I managed to get cuttings. I took cuttings last year from the two original plants, and luckily I did that because both of them died during the winter, so I had these two grown from cuttings to replace them with. Behind it over here you can see our fig tree, and I think we have to call it a fig bush because it just doesn't grow very much. It gets really cut back to not nearly to the ground, but nearly to the ground every winter. And it just never gets a chance to get big. And here's the view along the stream back from where we came from. we have changed the New Zealand bed. Here is a new Phormium, Autoporeum, as far as I remember. Should be very hardy, but it is going to be winter protected just in case. And the Cautleya from last year, or a few years back actually, well, we thought it died. It was the only one that survived this winter, but it looked like it had died. But all of a sudden it began putting up new leaves in the middle, and it looks a bit miserable because I've cut off all the brown ones, but it'll be good looking again, I think. We've put another Cautleya next to it, and then there is the tree fern, and then we've taken away most of those bushes, hebes. It is a New Zealand plant, but it's just not what you see in nature when you are driving around New Zealand. You see ferns and lots of ferns. So we've put in a lot of ferns, and they're not New Zealand ferns because they are just not hardy enough for Denmark. So they are Danish ferns, but still ferns. And then I've put in a Schefflera. It is a Taiwaniana because you can't get the one that you would see in nature in New Zealand, and it isn't hard enough anyway. So I think the New Zealand bed looks a lot more like New Zealand looks now. So that's really nice. I am going to put in a Nikau palm, which is a New Zealand palm, but it was just not available yet. So I have actually put in another one. You can see it behind the Cautleya. It looks a little like a Nikau palm, but it is really an Australian palm, and it has to be dug up and taken indoors for winter. And here's the New Zealand bed from the other side. It does just look more New Zealand because of all the ferns. We also made changes in the Australian bed. Unfortunately, we lost our 5-year-old eucalyptus tree this winter, so we've put in a new one, and hopefully that will survive. We've also put in some Australian palm trees now. They're not hardy, but we'll have to dig them up and take them indoors. I am very sorry about the neighbor's dog that keeps barking. Very annoying. Well, anyway, it wasn't, I didn't mean to put in 2 palm trees of the same kind, but I got a pot with 2 trees in. So as long as the other Australian palm is in the New Zealand bed, I'll keep those 2 in the Australian bed, and then when I get the Nikau palm, I'll take one of these 2 up. They're not hardy anyway, so they have to be dug up every winter, taken indoors. And the rest of the bed is really the plants that we normally have in the Australian bed. As always, we've got the bottle brush, and we've got a Banksia, and we've got another bottle brush behind it. And then I've found some ground cover that actually is Australian. Very exciting. Unfortunately, we've had to put up a fence because one of our dogs finds it very exciting to go to Australia and dig a big hole for some reason. Yucca gloriosa, both of them are doing fine as always, and that's why I've chosen to plant more of them on the mountain. Yucca rostrata in the background here. It took a beating this winter, again because of the wind. So it has a lot of those brown leaves, but they will be hanging down anyway soon, and then I'll cut them off. And hopefully we won't have so much wind next winter. And let's end with the pond as usual, where everything is as it should be. No problems here. All the fish are happy, and they are, as always, hungry. They've already been fed twice today, but it's never enough. So that was it, and thank you for watching.